Hello friends. This is Phoenix What If. How are you all? So in this video, we will see what if Naruto become the powerful demon shinigami. But before we start, if you want more amazing stuff like this, then be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Also, if possible, share this video with your friends. Now without wasting any more time, let's begin the story. Uzumaki Naruto growled as the sunlight streamed into his room. He yawned and got up, stepping out of bed. He slowly walked to his bathroom to start the morning activities. Once he was done with his shower, he walked out with his orange jumpsuit on. He walked to the kitchen area of his small apartment and opened the cupboard and pulled out a cup of instant miso ramen. He boiled the water and dumped it in the cup, and began eating. He finished, and wiped his face in case there was any ramen on it, didn't want to disgust his Sakura-chan after all. He walked out of his apartment clad in jumpsuit, shuriken pouch, kunai holster and ninja sandals and walked to Team 7's meeting area. He stopped suddenly. Maybe I should take a walk through the forest today. Seems nice enough, and keeps villagers from glaring at me. He thought sadly. He turned and walked forth. He walked along the path that would eventually lead to the bridge where Team 7 met for training and missions. Hands folded behind his head, Naruto squinted his eyes until they were almost closed but not quite. He was a mile away from the meeting spot before he felt an intense evil kind of aura. His eyes narrowed and he stalked to where he felt the surge. Upon getting closer, Naruto noticed that there was an innocent aura battling the evil. Naruto suddenly sprinted to the source. Upon reaching the area, he saw a monstrous human-looking thing fighting a small pink-haired girl clad in a black robe with an insignia on her left arm and white socks with a weird-looking pair of sandals. A.N. 3 guesses on who it is. She had brown eyes and was holding a small blade. She was bleeding badly from what looked like 3 claw marks on her chest. Naruto then turned his attention to the monster. He immediately noticed that it had a dark hole in its chest, as well as a white mask on its face. It was an ugly green color and looked to be kind of human, but not so much. It had a spike for a nose. Kyuubi, what is that? The 9-tailed fox opened his eyes and looked at the monster through his container's vision. He was shocked. That's an Ijuka-class Manos Grande. Then he looked at the girl. Unbelievable. A lieutenant-level shinigami, and it looks like she's in bad condition. Naruto, you must help her. Use my chakra. That level of hollow shouldn't be a match for you using 2 tails of my chakra. The blonde genin nodded, and formed the ram seal. He focused the fox's chakra until he got 2 tails of it, and charged at the Manos as the shinigami fell to her knees. Attack the mask. The demon fox instructed and Naruto charged at its face. To say the Manos was shocked was an understatement. The amount of power that was radiating off of this boy could only tell him one thing. The demon fox is alive. How? It doesn't make any sense. Were its last thoughts before Kyuubi. Naruto smashed his fist into its face, breaking the mask and coming out the other side of its head. The Manos yelled in pain and died. Naruto, once he powered down from demon mode, walked to the girl, looked at him. It's all right. I'm here to help, Naruto shouted, holding out his hand. The girl looked at it and grabbed it and let him help her up. Are you gonna be all right? 'Cause I don't know any healing techniques, Naruto said with his fox smile. The girl looked at him and nodded. I'll be fine. I have to get back though or Ken-chan will worry, she said. She then looked at his face. He looks like Fox-Face-chan. She then realized something. You can see me? Naruto stared at her. Duh. I could also see the monster you were fighting. My name's Uzumaki Naruto. Future Hokage. What's yours? The girl suddenly brightened up as well. Kusajishi Yachiru. I'm the lieutenant of the 11th Division of the Gode 13. She gasped and then whispered into his ear. But don't tell anyone. The living ain't supposed to know about us. So let's just keep it between you and me, 'kay? Naruto nodded with a grin. As Naruto turned to leave, he noticed a little extra weight hanging off of him and looked to see Yachiru happily dangling off his right shoulder. Ain't as comfy as Ken-chan's shoulder, but good enough. Naruto stared. You hang off of everybody's shoulder? Yachiru grinned and shook her head as she looked like she suddenly remembered something. She jumped off his shoulder and grabbed the weapon she had with her and jumped back onto his shoulder. Nope, just Ken-chan's and yours, Whiskers-chan. Naruto was surprised about the nickname until Yachiru gave the explanation why. 'Cause you have what looks like whiskers on your cheeks, Whiskers-chan. Naruto grinned and laughed. Never been called that before. Yachiru giggled, but stopped when she and Naruto heard a ringing sound. Yachiru reached into her robe and pulled out a phone. This is Yachiru. The voice on the other end to Naruto sounded like it aged a lot. Yachiru, did you defeat the Mainos? Yep. Definitely way past old. No, Yamamoto-chan, someone else did it. I was hurt bad, and this person named Uzumaki Naruto helped me defeat it by using this red energy thing and killing it with a punch. The voice, now identified to be Yamamoto Genryusai, responded with a very surprised tone in his voice. Really? Then bring Uzumaki-san to my office as soon as possible. Yachiru grunted in agreement and hung up. She sent something that looked to Naruto like an entirely black butterfly. Soon, a doorway opened up, and she stepped towards it. She looked back at Naruto. Come on, Whiskers-chan. This portal leads to Soul Society where innocent people go after they die. Naruto was reluctant for a few moments, but followed her in. When the two stepped out of the portal, Naruto was amazed when as they walked towards a huge gate, Naruto wasn't getting looks of hate, but rather of curiosity as souls looked at him questioningly, some even going so far as to ask others who he was. Soon, Naruto and Yachiru stopped in front of the gate, where a huge man with a strange-looking beard greeted them. Welcome back, Yachiru-san. Yamamoto-sama is expecting you and your guest, he said as he opened the gate to West Seirei. Yachiru smiled. Thanks a bunch, Giant-chan, she shouted as she grabbed Naruto's hand and sped to the 1st Division headquarters, with Naruto yelling all the way. When they reached the entrance to the 1st Division, Yachiru and Naruto were greeted by a member of the division and led to the general's room. They were ushered inside, and Naruto was surprised to see that there were 13 people with the same robes as Yachiru except they had a white haori over their shoulders. There were also 12, one of them wearing a white jinbaori. The 11 others wore the same outfits as Yachiru except they had different symbols on their armbands. Each of these people save a few, had swords like Yachiru but different as well. The person sitting on the throne-like chair, 1st Division Captain and General of the Gotei 13, Shigekuni Yamamoto Genryusai, beckoned the two forward. Yachiru Fukutaicho, stand with your captain. Yachiru obeyed and ran to Zaraki and stood next to him as Yamamoto looked at Naruto. You are Uzumaki Naruto, correct? Naruto nodded energetically. Yachiru told me you helped her defeat a hollow, is this true? Another nod. Explain how. Naruto thought for a second. Before you start though, I already know about your secret seeing as how the procedure to seal needed my assistance. Naruto was shocked for a moment, before speaking. Before I begin, Yamamoto-sama, I have to explain how I got the power to defeat that hollow. Or Mainos. Whatever, Yamamoto nodded for him to continue. The day I was born was the same day the 9-tailed fox attacked my home, Konoha. Already the people in the room began conversing with each other about the demon fox. The Yondaime Hokage was too weak to fight him as well as every other shinobi at that time and used the Shikifujin, which sealed the fox inside a baby, me. The technique required the user to sacrifice his life in order to seal using the shinigami. Now there were gasps of surprise as the people could only wonder what Naruto's life must have been being a Jinchuriki. Their fears were realized when Naruto spoke them. The Sandaime, who was reinstated, banned the adults from telling the younger generation so that I could live a normal life, but he was wrong. They beat me, tortured me and hated me for something I couldn't even decide on. The Ninja Council was much worse. Every day they tried to convince Jii-san to kill me to save the village. The younger generation grew up hating me too thanks to their parents' influence. I was never even told the reason why I was hated until a few months ago. Yet every day I always smiled and pranked to get attention. I never let their words or weapons hurt me and continued on. These people were already respecting Naruto since they knew a regular human would have committed suicide years ago. When I was 6, the Kyuubi pulled me into my mind and gave me the ability to control his chakra. 6 years later, a traitor to the village fooled me into stealing a sacred scroll and told me the reason I was hated. My teacher, Iruka-sensei, tried to help me realize that I wasn't the demon and actually its jailer. I helped him in return by defeating the traitor with a jutsu called Kage Bunshin no Jutsu and beat him up real good. Iruka-sensei then gave me his headband, signifying me as a ninja of the hidden leaf. Naruto then went on to explain Team 7 as well as the other genin and described his first C-rank mission to the Land of Waves where his team fought Momochi, Zabuza and Haku. Almost everyone showed their surprise when Naruto described his fight with Haku when he first transformed into Kyuubi mode. Now today I was taking a trip through a path in the forest that led to the bridge so I wouldn't have to deal with villagers, and that's where I met Yachiru-san. She was getting beat by the Mainos and Kyuubi told me to use his power to defeat the Hollow, so I did, and after he was gone, I went to see if Yachiru was okay, and after a few minutes of talking her phone rang, and I'm sure you all know what went on from there. Zaraki smirked. You got guts, kid. To defeat an Ijuka's class Mainos ain't easy. I think I might have found a new sparring partner. Zaraki wore a shredded white haori with the 11th symbol on the back over his uniform. His sword was wrapped in bandages, and his hair stood out in 11 directions, each with a bell on the tip. Yamamoto cleared his throat. A very surprising tale you have told us, Naruto-san. If you were any different I would have you go through the academy, but as it looks to me, you are a fast learner, and therefore in honor of you helping one of my lieutenants, you will be given a Zanpakuto that applies most to you. Since I am the general of Seirei, I keep control over all Zanpakuto that have not been addressed to Shinigami and will let you decide one for yourself. It is with this Zanpakuto that you will learn its name and abilities that come with it. However, there are more important matters at hand, so this won't happen until tomorrow after a full night's rest. I hereby dismiss everyone but Uzumaki Naruto. Everyone turned and walked out, two of them. One a blonde woman lieutenant and a man who wore a pink haori and a straw hat muttered about needing some sake. Naruto stayed, and when everyone left, he turned to the commander of the Gotei 13. Before anything, I must tell you that the Yondaime is here in Soul Society. Naruto became shocked and was silenced before he could speak. It is his wish that you see him once you become a member of the Gotei 13. Now before we begin your training, is there any questions you wish to ask me? Naruto nodded. I'm still technically alive and I'm worried that Jii-san might wonder where I am. The commander silenced him once more. As we speak, my lieutenant is on his way to Konoha to speak with the Hokage. It is your decision, but it would honor us if you agreed to train and become a member of the Gotei 13. Naruto thought. On the good side, he saw that people here had already acknowledged him and he wasn't even here for a day. From what Zaraki said, he already was interested in Naruto's strength, whereas Sasuke always thought of him as a loser. The only bad thing he saw was that he would be leaving his precious people behind. However, he had already gained a companionship in Yachiru. One more question. If Yachiru-san is the lieutenant of the 11th division, how did she get to be there? Yamamoto closed his eyes. Yachiru was born in Kusajishi, the 79th district of Rukongai, where her parents were killed. This shocked Naruto greatly, seeing as how he never even knew about his parents. When she was just a baby, she met Kenpachi Zaraki where he took her under his wing. He was interrupted when Naruto lowered his head, fists clenched. Yet she never knew her family, just like me. Zaraki is as important to her as Jii-san and Iruka-sensei are to me. Suddenly, he lifted his head with a determined look on his face. I'll train to become a Shinigami. Yamamoto-sama, under one condition. Yamamoto raised his eyebrows as Naruto grinned. I can adopt Yachiru as my little sister. This greatly surprised the old man before he smiled. He feels pain from not having a family and doesn't want Yachiru to end up the same way. A heart of gold if I say so myself. You may take her in as long as Zaraki deems it okay. Naruto nodded. Tonight you will stay at the 8 divisions since it is the most peaceful of the 13 divisions. Uzumaki Naruto, starting tomorrow, you will train to become a Shinigami. Dismissed. Naruto bowed and left. The second he stepped foot outside he was tackled. Ni-chan. Yachiru shouted happily as she DD herself over Naruto's shoulder. Naruto grinned like a fox while Kyuubi heard everything that happened and was smirking. How did you know? Yachiru laughed and pointed at a spot beside the door. I listened in. I'm giving you another name, Whiskers-chan. Naruto laughed. Nani? Yachiru smiled and hugged him. Naruto Ni-chan. My Ni-chan. Naruto grinned. Ken-chan is a little protective of me though, so you might be in a little bit of trouble. Naruto smirked. No problem, Yachiru-chan. I'm sure it won't be that big of a deal. The walked. Well, more like Naruto was walking and Yachiru was hanging off his shoulder to the 8th division. Naruto let Yachiru down. I'll see ya tomorrow. K Yachiru-chan. I gotta introduce myself to the Taicho here. Yachiru smiled up at him and ran off to Division 11. Naruto walked inside the 8th division and immediately heard snoring coming from the roof. Curious, Naruto used his shinobi skills to make it to the top, where he found the Straw Hat Man from earlier. He walked up to him, just as a woman with small glasses, black hair that spilled over the right side of her face, an armband with the symbol for 8, and a big book tucked underneath her arm walked up. She had black eyes which Naruto found himself attracted to. She huffed in annoyance at the man, pushed up her glasses, and turned to Naruto. May I help you? Naruto grinned and folded his arms behind his head. Yamamoto Taiko told me I could rest here for the night since I agreed to train to become a shinigami. He told me to find the captain or vice captain of the 8th division. Nanao nodded. I am the Fuku Taichu of the 8th, Is Nanao, and this is my captain. Kyoraku Shunsui, she said as she smacked the man with her book, waking him up. You need to wake up Taiko. Yamamoto Taiko sent Uzumaki Naruto here to rest the night. Shunsui yawned loudly. Ah, my sweet Nanao-chan, must you always hit me with that book? He asked, pouting. He then noticed Naruto. Ah, Naruto-san. I see you are here to bunk with us for the night? Naruto nodded and Shunsui began thinking. Well, there aren't any rooms that have an unoccupied bed. I can sleep on a couch. I did it before. Shunsui continued thinking. I know, he said, snapping his fingers. He turned to Nanao. Nanao-chan has a couch in her room for you to sleep in. He was suddenly knocked upside the head by her book. Again. I am not letting him sleep in my room, Taiko. Naruto sweated. I have no problem sleeping on the roof. Nonsense. Shunsui shouted. Nanao-chan, as your superior I ask you to let Naruto-san sleep in your room tonight. It's just one night. Nanao sighed. Fine. Taiko, I ask that you go to bed. Naruto-san, follow me. Confused by the situation, Naruto followed Nanao to her room. 3 warnings. Do not disturb me when I'm signing papers unless you intend to help sign them. I go to bed at 10 p.m. every night, so don't make any noise. Final warning, never ask me if I have a zanpakuto. That's none of your business and I would appreciate it if you wouldn't meddle in my personal affairs. Naruto smiled. No worries, Nanao-san. I actually get extremely nervous when I have to stay at someone else's place, so I'll try not to get in your way. Nanao couldn't help but smile a bit at the nervous part. She showed Naruto the couch which was in the same room as her bed. Naruto blushed slightly and sat down on it. Now I need to get ready for bed, Naruto-san, so it would help if you didn't watch me change. Naruto nodded and laid down on the couch as Nanao prepared for bed. Once she was done, Nanao turned off the light and went to bed, not noticing Naruto already asleep and shuddering. Morning came for Naruto when Nanao smacked him upside the head with a paper fan. I would appreciate it if you didn't snore, Naruto-san. Rubbing his head, Naruto grinned. One doesn't know they're snoring till someone points it out, I guess, 'cause I never heard me snore before. Nanao rolled her eyes. How old are you anyway? 12, nearing 13 maybe. Yet you don't know by now that when you sleep, you have the voice box to wake up even the laziest person here. You did manage to wake Kyoraku Taiko up, and he is about the laziest person I know. Naruto smiled sheepishly. No one ever mentioned my snoring before. Oh well, I'll try to be quiet next time, Nanao-chan, I mean san. Nanao didn't know why, but she felt a very slight heat in her cheeks at him adding the chan, but willed it away and turned her head. You better. I don't want to have to smack you over the head every time you wake me up. Naruto cut her off at the last second with a yawn, which earned him another smack. And don't yawn when I talk. It makes me feel like I'm boring you. Naruto rubbed his head and stuck his tongue out at her. By the way, I'm 12 and a half. Nanao humphed and walked to the bathroom as Naruto set his feet down on the floor and got up. She reminds me of Sakura-chan, except Sakura-chan wouldn't be as calm as her. Oh well, it's not like I meant to offend Nanao-san anyway. He grumbled as he walked to the kitchen. He realized something. I hope she has ramen. I don't. You need to eat food other than ramen. Try meat like chili dogs for once, you'll like it. The Kyuubi added his 2 cents. Naruto mentally raspberried the fox. Blah to you, fox. Naruto mentally grinned as the fox grumbled. Nanao-san. He heard her answer from behind the door. You wouldn't happen to have ramen, would you? No, I don't, Naruto-san. However, there is a ramen stand in the 10th district of Rukongai. Naruto sighed. Bummer. He walked to her fridge to see what she had. He opened it and peered inside after checking to make sure she wouldn't come out and accuse him of anything. He found fruits, mainly oranges and apples, and vegetables. Man. Oh well, it's her food, not mine, so I'm not gonna complain. I was at least hoping she had meat. He suddenly felt a finger tap his shoulder. Smacking his head on the roof of the fridge, Naruto, surprised, yanked his head out and stared wide-eyed at a not furious, but annoyed Nanao, clad in a bathrobe. Ehehe. I was just looking for something to eat. Nanao rolled her eyes. I can see that. I just remembered that I have some instant ramen in case I ever had to eat quickly. The pots are in the first cupboard to your right, the ramen is in the second, and you can use the water from the sink. Now if you will excuse me, I must get dressed as I do not wish to walk around in a robe. Naruto nodded his understanding and Nanao walked to her room and closed the door. Naruto sighed, thanking Yamamoto, and went about making his breakfast. He then remembered how he saw Nanao in her robe as he was eating and choked. I gotta say, she's even better looking than Sakura-chan. Meanwhile, Nanao was changing and thinking. Beside Taiko, he is the first guy to blush at me, though I did walk in on him in a robe. I have to watch what I'm doing next time or he just might get a crush on me. Though the idea was cute at first, she remembered that Naruto wasn't even a teen yet, and in Seirei it would be at least 7 human years before he even reached his 13th birthday. And I'm almost 21 in human years. It will be a very long time before he reaches that age if he were to stay here. Now I must hurry and wake Kyoraku Taiko up or he will be late for the captain's meeting today. 10 a.m. came and Nanao urged Naruto out. I have to start my job now, Naruto-san, as it is most likely that Kyoraku Taiko will not wake himself. There is an important meeting he must attend to today at exactly 5 p.m. Today. You must go to Yamamoto Taiko and begin your training. Naruto nodded, but before he left, he asked her a question. What is each division's abilities, you know, their strengths? Nanao stopped, pushed her glasses onto the bridge of her nose and turned to him. There are some divisions that I know have no real strengths, but I will explain what I can. The first division is the central part of the Gotei 13 where the other 12 divisions go to receive missions or for the captains, go to the monthly captains meeting. The second division deals in special, meaning there are ninjas and since you are one, there is a chance you will end up there. The third, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 13th have no real strong points. We're basically all around divisions. The 4th division is the weakest but performs healing arts and cleans the sewers in Seirei. The 11th division is where they deal in combat, and the 12th division is the science part of Seirei. You will probably find out more for yourself when you actually begin living here. Naruto nodded and thanked her for the info, and she left. He turned towards the 1st division and began walking. Once he reached the gates, the Fukutaichu, Sasaki Chojiro, escorted him to Yamamoto's room. Naruto stepped inside as the lieutenant walked back to his desk and began working. Naruto stood in front of Yamamoto. Good to see you're here, Naruto-san. Now we will begin your training by stabbing you. Naruto was shocked and scared. Yamamoto chuckled. It's how we instate humans like you to become shinigami. Now stand in front of me. Reluctantly, Naruto did as he was told. Suddenly, he found himself looking down at his stomach, where Yamamoto's Zanpakuto was sticking out. Now say your name, and you will be given the powers of a shinigami. Naruto nodded. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Suddenly, there was a bright light, and when it cleared, Naruto was standing in full shinigami uniform. He noticed that his physical body laid in a heap behind him. He gave himself a once-over, and smiled. Hey Kyuubi, I really like the color, though it's not orange. Faye. You always had an obsession over orange and it's time you got rid of it. Naruto thoughtfully scoffed and gave Yamamoto his attention. Now that you are a shinigami, follow me. Yamamoto suddenly got up and walked to the door. It is in the hallway. Naruto followed him for a few feet, before his feet slipped on the robe and he fell face first to the ground. Yamamoto turned when he heard Naruto yell, Itai. Naruto. What happened? I tripped over the robe sensei. I think it's a little too big for me. Yamamoto checked him and lo and behold, Naruto was exactly 5 inches shorter than the robe. We will just have to have that fixed now, won't we? He used his Zanpakuto to cut the bottom of Naruto's robe so it fit him exactly. There, now please try not to trip. Naruto inwardly stuck his tongue at the old man. The two passed by Chojiro, who was still busy with assignments for the other divisions. They soon reached a door that was guarded by 2 shinigami, who nodded to their taiko and opened it, allowing the 2 inside. Woo! Naruto said breathlessly as he looked at all the Zanpakutos that adorned the 4 walls. Some were bigger than others. There were different colored handles that captivated the new shinigami as he glanced around, eyes set in slit mode. Yamamoto took pride in Naruto's awe. You are free to look around, but listen to me before you do, or you will probably not find the Zanpakuto that is right for you. Naruto faced him as the old shinigami walked to him and knelt to his level. You must concentrate an aura called Ryujutsu. It is almost like the chakra that ninjas of your world use, but is concentrated more on the soul. Now close your eyes and look deep inside yourself. Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto walked through the hallways of his mind as he searched for the new power. Ryujutsu. Maybe if I checked with Kyuubi. He walked to the cage where the 9-tailed demon was kept. Hey Fox. Do you sense anything that isn't chakra? Quiet, I'm concentrating Kit. I found it. Leave this room and go to the 3rd door on your left. I feel a new power like it's begging to be released. Naruto thanked him and walked back outside. He walked down the hallway and came to the door Kyuubi told him. He opened it and stepped inside. He suddenly found himself facing himself. Only, he had light blue hair, pearly white skin, and was wearing a red version of Naruto's new uniform. Oi, who are you besides the fact that you're me? The lookalike chuckled. I'm the embodiment of your Ryujutsu Naruto. You can call me Rei for short. Naruto nodded. So, do you know what Yamamoto-sensei is talking about? Rei nodded, and extended his right hand to Naruto, and a blast or light blue Ryujutsu hit Naruto. He closed his eyes as he felt the new energy circulate inside him. Outside Naruto's mindscape. Yamamoto raised his eyebrows as a new energy started circling around him. That Naruto is surprising. His Ryujutsu is very strong. Good Naruto, now spread it around the room until it hits every Zanpakuto in this room. Naruto did as instructed, and starting feeling a pull towards the northern wall. Yamamoto watched him walk to the wall. Do you feel a pull? Let it guide you. It will take you to your Zanpakuto. Naruto soon found himself standing in front of a blade that was about his size from sword to handle. The handle itself was decorated in cobalt blue wrapping and had little yellow bolts of lightning on it. The blade itself was like any other Zanpakuto, but what drew Naruto to it was the feeling that this sword and his Ryujutsu were mingling together, unlike the other Zanpakuto. He took it down. Yamamoto walked up. Oh. I see you picked your Zanpakuto. Naruto continued to look at it. Now follow me and I will show you how to talk to your Zanpakuto. 5 minutes later. Naruto and Yamamoto arrived in a field just outside of Seirei. Sit down. Now, talking to your Zanpakuto is more difficult than you may think. They don't like to be called weapons, swords, or anything else besides the name they give you or until you first talk to them, which is Zanpakuto. Talking to the Zanpakuto is like talking to a friend. Ask it how it is doing, what are its interests, etc. This will help you achieve its first release, or Shikai. Naruto nodded. Now I will leave you to your training. Return when you have learned your Zanpakuto's name and I will introduce you to the captains, some of which will help train you. Yamamoto got up and left for Division 1 as Naruto looked at his Zanpakuto. 2 hours passed, and Naruto was still too nervous to even touch the blade. What if the Zanpakuto rejected him? No, it couldn't happen. He was meant to wield it. But what if he and the Zanpakuto started getting in fights? He does have a temper, you know. Or maybe the Zanpakuto was always calm and could always handle Naruto's fiery fox temper. He decided to just wing it. Hi Zanpakuto. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and my dream was to become the Hokage of my village, but now that I will be here, I don't know anymore. Now, I guess I want to become a shinigami and help innocent people. What about you? No response. I just came here yesterday and I already met 2 very powerful captains and 2 lieutenants, one of them a very strict kinda lieutenant. The captains, Names are Yamamoto Genryu Sai of the 1st Division and Kyoraku Shunsui of the 8th. The lieutenant I met is a woman named Aiz Naneo. She's a little uptight, but then again I don't know her that well. The other lieutenant I adopted as my little sister. Her name is Kusajishi Yakiru, but I'm hoping it will change to Uzumaki Kusajishi Yakiru. She's awesome and very fast. I could hardly keep up with her. This time, Naruto felt a slight tingle from the blade. Curious, he continued on. I'm not from around here, but I guess you already know that, hey. I'm basically just learning the ropes so I can become a shinigami, and I really want your help. I know you can help me become a great shinigami here, I just know it. That's very sweet of you, Uzumaki-san. A voice suddenly said. Naruto, guessing it must have been his Zanpakuto, looked down at it. I know you want to get to know me better, and since I already trust you, I will tell you my name. I am Raiden, a Zanpakuto with the element of lightning and thunder. I see your elemental Reijutsu is the same as mine. Now, when you wish to unleash me in my Shikai form, yell Rage. Raiton. You will then achieve Shikai, as Yamamoto-sama himself said. Now he told you to return when you have learned my name, right? Naruto nodded, got up, and ran back to 1st Division. Yamamoto was sitting down in his chair enjoying some green tea when Naruto walked in. His name is Raiden, and he already gave me the ability to Shikai. Surprised, Yamamoto nearly dropped his teacup but gripped harder onto it. Very good, Naruto-kun. It is amazing that your Zanpakuto already trusts you enough to not only give you his name, but his first ability as well. I was planning on letting the Taiko of the 10th Division teach you that, seeing as how he is a prodigy. That one word bristled Naruto. Nope, got it all by myself. I don't need no stinkin' prodigy, he said, making the quotation marks with his fingers. I was extremely nervous at first, but after 2 hours, I actually started to feel more comfortable near him and started talking. Yamamoto nodded, and motioned for him to continue. The old man was now very interested in this young lad. I told him what I knew about you in the 8th Division Taiko and Fukuteku, and then I told him about Yakiru and he started talking to me. Yamamoto nodded wisely. Very well then, since you had already completed the first release of Raiden Naruto-kun, you may do whatever you want to for the rest of the day. Who knew he would come to regret those words? Really? Then can I visit the 10th district? Yamamoto was confused. Why do you want to visit that district of Rukongai, Naruto-kun? Naneo-san told me about how there's a ramen stand in that district, and I was wondering if I could go. Yamamoto thought about it. Naruto was already strong enough to release his Zanpakuto, so anyone who would try to harm him would be in way over their heads. Plus, there just weren't that many bad people there, either. Okay Naruto-kun, we'll both go, my treat. Yeah, Naruto exclaimed, and dashed out the door, Yamamoto close behind. On their way out of the division, Yamamoto informed Chojiro of where they were headed. 10 minutes later, the two walked into the 10th district of Rukongai, and looked around. I'll show you to the stand Naruto-kun. Naruto nodded and followed. They soon reached the small ramen stand and sat down. The owner, who was also the chef, greeted them. He paled once he saw Yamamoto. Yamamoto-sama, what an honor to see you. Yamamoto nodded. He turned to Naruto. What would you like? Naruto thought. 2 bowls of miso ramen please. 1 bowl of beef please. Yamamoto said. The chef nodded, and got to work. 3 minutes later and the orders came. Naruto grabbed 2 chopsticks and began eating. First, out of habit for new food, he took a few bites, then began practically swallowing it whole. Yamamoto began his beef. Yamamoto couldn't believe his eyes when 20 minutes later, and there was a huge crowd placing bets on Naruto as he shoveled his 27th bowl of ramen into his mouth. The kid obviously has an appetite like that because he has 2 mouths to feed, literally. Naruto-kun, aren't you a little full by now? Naruto stared at him. I'd say about 23 more should do it. Yamamoto's eyes nearly popped out of his head. 20 more minutes later, and Naruto patted his full stomach. 101 bowls, and only 1 of them mine. Yamamoto said regretfully. Well, there goes some of the money I was planning for the Taikos and Fukutekas, and they were all looking forward to it too. Naruto grinned sheepishly. Sorry sensei, I always get carried away when it comes to ramen. Yamamoto silently wept for the money he lost and the complaints he would be getting. I'll help Yapar for it. Yamamoto sighed. No Naruto-kun. I already said it's my treat and I never go back on my word. Naruto smiled. Kinda like a nindo. Yamamoto raised an eyebrow at him. A nindo, a ninja's way of saying that they will never go back on their word. Yamamoto smiled. Then what's your nindo, Naruto-kun? Naruto grinned and stood on top of the seat. He pointed his finger to the sky. To be a great shinigami. To be able to help everyone. Believe it. Yamamoto chuckled as the blonde sat back down. I see. Well, continue to train hard, and someday, you just might become a captain. Naruto smiled. Yamamoto looked at the sun. Well, it's about time for us to get back, Naruto-kun. I have a captain's meeting today at 5 p.m. and I cannot be late. I also decided, Naruto-kun, and I will tell Kiraku this, you will be with the 8th until you get moved into a division when we test you on your skills. Naruto looked at him in curiosity. How long is that? Not for 2 years yet, Naruto-kun. Yamamoto smiled, but inwardly, he groaned. Now how do I tell the Taikos that the vacation will have to be cut short this year? Hua. It was now 6 p.m. and the captain's meeting went without a hitch, save for when Yamamoto told them about Naruto's obsession with ramen and the amount of money that was used to pay the ramen stand owner. When the captains heard what was taken to pay the bill, amazingly to Yamamoto, they took it pretty well and said they would tell their vice captains, though the outcome looked unsafe for some of them. The captains left, and Yamamoto sat down on his chair wondering where Naruto was now. At Division 8, Nanao mentally scowled as she saw Naruto laying under one of Kiraku's sakura trees. Wondering briefly if he was asleep, she walked closer and noticed that he wasn't in fact sleeping, but thinking. As if suddenly noticing her, Naruto smiled at her. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just thinking about the life I'm leaving behind in Konoha. I already know the old man and Iruka-sensei miss me. Sasuke-tem is probably still brooding like his everyday bastardly self, and Sakura-chan is making things worse for him. Naruto laughed. You sound like you're jealous of this Sasuke. Nanao observed. Naruto shrugged. I was jealous. He had everything I didn't. A family, the love and support of the village. Heck, did you know that nearly every girl has a crush on him? Hee. There were also some guys that had a thing for him too. I used to like watching Sasuke get mortified when some guy asked him on a date. Nanao grinned just a little bit. A very amusing sight to you, wasn't it? Naruto nodded. But you know what really made the decision, as someone from my village always said, troublesome. Since I was little, I had dreams of becoming Hokage and gaining everyone's respect. They always looked at me like I was a monster and I always wanted to prove them wrong. It was my way of saying that I'm just as human as they are. I can bleed, I hurt when I get injured, and I cry when I'm sad. I'm everything a normal human is, or I was until I came here. Nanao was taken aback by his explanation. Sure, she knew he isn't a demon just like everyone else just because he has the nine-tailed spirit inside him. But the fact that he still managed to live a carefree life where he was hated by almost everybody, that was a life she would never want to live. Naruto. He looked at her and nodded, letting her continue. We all know you have a demon fox inside of you. We could sense it the second Yakiru brought you in. But, we also know you're just its jailer and are capable of emotions like the rest of us. Practically everybody now knows who you are. But, unlike in Konoha, we respect that you're holding a powerful demon back. Naruto stood up and smiled at Nanao, and she smiled back, but the moment was ruined when a certain pink Fukuteku barreled into him. Ni-chan, why do you have a big, empty stomach? Yakiru glared at him. I really wanted to go on the vacation this year. Nanao was confused. We are still going, aren't we? Yakiru nodded. But Ken-chan said Yama-chan said that the trip will end about 2 weeks early because Ni-chan. She said, sitting on Naruto's shoulders and poking his forehead. Spent it at a ramen stand in the 10th district. I was really looking forward to it too. Nanao suddenly glared at Naruto. She too, really needed the time off so she could relax before coming back to work. Is this true, Naruto-san? Naruto nodded, a little fearful at what she may do to him. Suddenly, Nanao pulled out her book and smacked it onto his head, knocking him and Yakiru down. I was looking forward to the trip as well, Yakiru-san. But what's done is done, and Naruto-san will hopefully know next time not to spend so much money on food, right? Naruto nodded fearfully. She's as scary as Sakura-chan when she's angry. Naruto thought as he nursed the bruise on his head. Sorry Nanao-san, Yakiru-chan. It's just that I really enjoy ramen. Nanao rolled her eyes and Yakiru pulled at his arm towards her division. Ni-chan, Ken-chan wants you to fight him if you wanna adopt me. He said he wants to fight now. Naruto nodded and ran off with her. Nanao watched them leave, and sighed. Just don't get hurt too much Naruto-san. She went back inside her division's headquarters to continue her lieutenant duties. Passing through the 9th and 10th divisions, Naruto and Yakiru stopped outside the gates of the 11th. Naruto felt a powerful surge of Reijutsu and looked at Yakiru. That's your Ken-chan. Yakiru nodded happily. Ken-chan says if Naruto Ni-chan can defeat him in a one-on-one battle, then I can be Uzumaki Kusajishi Yakiru. Naruto grinned at the thought of finally having a sibling, even if she was adopted. Well then let's get this fight started. I can't wait to meet this guy. Soon enough, the two ran to the surge and found the person they were searching for. Ken-chan. Yakiru squealed as she jumped on his shoulders. Naruto was amazed. This was Ken-chan. Hey brat, glad to see you brought the new kid here. He looked at Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. Fight me now. Naruto was confused. So you know my name but what's yours? I get the feeling I wanna remember it. Zaraki smirked. I'm the Taiko of the 11th division of the Gote 13. My name is Zaraki Kenpachi. Zaraki was very tall to Naruto. His black hair pointed out into 11 directions, and each of them, Naruto could see a little bell on the tip. His captain's jacket was shredded over his shinigami uniform, and he had an eye patch on his right eye. His zanpakuto was wrapped in bandages and looked like it was longer than him. What's with the eye patch? The Jinchuriki asked. Zaraki laughed. It eats my Reijutsu. I have so much that I don't need to use the techniques the rest of the captains here use. With this power, one swipe of my zanpakuto could cut an entire building in half. Naruto, instead of cringing like a normal shinigami would, smirked. Cool, hope you'll use that power on me, 'cause you're gonna need it. Zaraki laughed. You got guts, kid. Alright, come at me then. I'll let you strike first. Naruto smirked and ran forward. He punched at Zaraki, and hit him in the chest. However, instead of reeling back from the blow like Naruto thought he would, a long gash appeared on his arm. Naruto grabbed it and jumped back. What the hell? I hit you. How did I get injured? My Reijutsu is more potent than yours so it sliced you when you came at me like that. You're gonna have to do better than that if you wanna beat me. Naruto unsheathed Raiden, and ran at Zaraki again, this time focusing his Reijutsu into the blade and slashed at Zaraki's shoulder. Good thing Yakiru wasn't on it, he thought. This time, he managed to make a way too small cut on Zaraki's shoulder, but the cut wasn't even deep enough to draw blood. Damn it, he whispered to himself angrily. I need to think of a better strategy than this. I can't continue making small cuts like that, or I'll be close to unconscious by the time I make him use that power behind his eye patch. He held Raiden out in front of him. Here I go. Rage, Raiden. To Zaraki's mild surprise, Naruto's zanpakuto glowed a bright white for a moment and when the light was gone, in Naruto's hands was a blade whose handle now looked like a lightning bolt. The blade itself was a light yellow color, and looked like a claymore. There was a small hole at the bottom of the zanpakuto that looked like you could stick 3 fingers in it. Naruto-kun, now that you achieved Shikai, my first release, it's time you learned the techniques that come with it. The thunder boomerang is the first. When you get the chance Naruto, put 2 of your fingers into the hole at the bottom of my hilt and swing it around like you would a demon wind shuriken. Then, concentrate your Reijutsu into the hole and throw it at your target. Got it. Zaraki ran at the kid. You're not concentrating on the battle, boy. You will die if you keep this up. And I'll be the one to kill you. He unwrapped his zanpakuto and jumped at Naruto. Naruto, now realizing what was going on, was just in time to bring his blade up and shield himself against the slash Zaraki made at his stomach. Yakiru watched the battle from a few yards away so she wouldn't get in the way. Ken-chan looks like he's winning already, she said, a little sad. I hope Naruto Ni-chan at least manages to gash him. Ken-chan said all it takes for Ni-chan to be my Ni-chan is to show that he is strong enough to protect me. Naruto jumped back and locked his right hand's index and middle finger into the hole, and starting spinning his Zanpakuto. It didn't take long before Raiden started emitting sparks. Taking this as his cue to throw it, Naruto jumped into the air. By now, Raiden was charged with lightning energy and Naruto came back down, and threw his blade as hard as he could. Thunder Boomerang. Raiden was spinning rapidly and streamed towards Zaraki, who was surprised to see such an attack. He jumped to the side just as the Zanpakuto whizzed past, and turned back to Naruto. Not bad, kid. You would have killed a regular shinigami with that trick. He was cut off as Raiden suddenly cut into his back, and threw him to the side as the blade sailed back into Naruto's hand. Zaraki reached a hand behind his back, and touched the spot where Raiden hit him. He felt something wet, and took his hand back to see that it was his blood. Naruto mentally cheered as he watched Zaraki touch his new wound. However, he was shocked when Zaraki started, laughing. Hee hee, ahahaha, nice job kid, you managed to hit me. 'Bout time too. I promised myself that I wouldn't use this until you at least managed to hit me, so get ready. He ripped the eye patch off of his face, and immediately a humongous amount of Reijutsu roared into the sky as a pillar of yellow light covered Zaraki. Naruto was so terrified of the new surge of power that he was sent to his knees. Unbelievable, I never felt any kind of power like this before. Not even Zabuza's chakra was as strong as this. Kit, yelled Kyuubi as he led Naruto into his mind. Let me lend you some of my power. However, 2 tails just might not be enough to tackle him, so I'm giving you my 3rd tail. Don't overuse this power, Kit. Naruto mentally agreed and suddenly, just as Zaraki finished powering up, a dome of red demon chakra engulfed Naruto. Zaraki was now the one to be surprised as he watched Naruto unleash this new power. This isn't Reijutsu. This is some kind of demon energy, and that kid is practically reeking of it. Is this the power of the 9-tailed fox? Yakiru watched the energy from her spot and was amazed. Ni-chan's using the 9 tails energy. Wow, she and Zaraki would be deeply surprised at what came out of that dome. The dome disappeared suddenly, and Naruto stood in its place. However, unlike the blue his eyes once were, they were now slitted and blood red. His canines grew until they were at the bottom of his chin. His hair grew and now covered almost half of his face. His fingernails and toenails had grown and looked like they were actually claws. The 3 scars on both of his cheeks were now more pronounced so that they looked like actual fox whiskers. Finally, instead of Reijutsu, he was leaking demon red chakra. Zaraki couldn't help but stare at the now demonized Naruto. He felt 24 levels of Reijutsu and didn't need to turn around to know it was the rest of the Gote 13 captains and vice captains. Yamamoto walked TTO Zaraki until he stood right beside him. What is going on, Zaraki? We all felt your Reijutsu spike and the second we arrive here we feel demonic energy mixed with Naruto's Reijutsu. Zaraki jerked his head to Naruto. I guess since I went all out, he would have to level up to mine, and I guess the Kyuubi helped him by giving him its energy. Yamamoto and the rest stared at Naruto when they heard a demonic growl escape his lips. Stay out of this, old man. That goes for the rest of ya. I wanna fight Zaraki. Without any warning, Kyuubi Naruto warped in front of Zaraki and slashed at him as Yamamoto jumped out of the way of the arc and Zaraki blocked it with his sword. The Taiko was surprised when Kyuubi Naruto pushed him back and punched him in the face, sending him flying into the wall that separated divisions 11 and 10, crumbling it to pieces. Kyuubi Naruto watched the rubble, waiting for his opponent to come out. He wasn't disappointed when he was kicked in his side, and landed a few feet away. Kyuubi Naruto instantly got back up and ran full speed at Zaraki. Zaraki sidestepped the attempted cut of Raiden and slammed the hilt of his Zanpakuto on the top of the kid's head, smashing him into the ground. Alright kid, I get it. I trust you with Yakiru, however. He chopped the back of Kyuubi Naruto's neck, and he fell unconscious. 1. Even with 3 tails of the demon fox's energy you can't beat me in this state. 2. I don't want you even touching Yakiru when you use even an ounce of that demon's energy. He left Naruto, who was normal now, and walked to Unohana, the Taiko of the 4th Division. Take care of the kid, and when he wakes up, tell him that he now has responsibility of Uzumaki Kusajishi Yakiru and tell him the exact rules I said about his demon state. He looked over at Yakiru. Come on brat, now that I'm riled up, it's time to work the low-lifes. Yakiru hopped onto his shoulder, and glanced at Naruto with a concerned look on her face, before Zaraki walked into his headquarters. Yamamoto sighed, and looked at the hole in the wall, where Hitsugaya was staring at. That needs to be fixed right away. I'll send for a team of shinigami to rebuild it. Hitsugaya nodded, and walked back to his division, his Fukuteku, Rangaku Matsumoto, right behind him. The others left as well, all except for Retsu Unohana, her Fukuteku, Azane Katetsu, Shunsui Kiraku, and Aiz Nanao. Kiraku looked at Naruto. When he's healed up Unohana Taiko, tell him he can stay at the 8th Division and that I have provided a room for him. He looked at Nanao, who looked shaken. Nanao-chan. She gave him her attention. Naruto-kun will be alright. The fox will heal him and he has Unohana Taiko and her division helping him as well. Nanao humphed, and set her glasses on the bridge of her nose. If you think I was worried about him, Taiko, then you are mistaken. It's just that I have never seen that kind of power before. Unohana smiled at her. Neither have we, Nanao-san. No one here has ever felt a demon's power before. I just hope that there won't be effects to using the Kyuubi's power. I could tell from when I arrived that Naruto-san could not handle that power well. Unnoticeably to everyone, a lone tear slid down Nanao's cheek as she and her Taiko walked back to their division. Unohana and Azane then walked to Naruto, and lifted him onto their shoulders. He is an amazing person, isn't he Azane? Yes Unohana Taiko, I never seen anyone unique like him. The closest I ever saw to Naruto-san was Hitsugaya Taiko when he was first assigned to the Gote 13. While they carried Naruto, they heard him mumbling. Hitsugaya-tem, just you wait, I'll be stronger than you someday. I'll beat you just like I will with Sasuke-tem. Unohana and Azane chuckled, and continued on. Morning around 9 a.m. Naruto's eyes slowly opened and he looked around. Where am I? He looked around the room. Am I in a hospital? Close to it, a feminine voice said. Naruto looked to the doorway to see a captain with black long hair braided over her front instead of her back. She had gentle, mother-like eyes, and wore her captain's haori almost like a robe. She smiled at him. I am Retsu Unohana, the captain of the 4th Division. My Fukuteku and I carried you here after Zaraki knocked you unconscious. Naruto sighed. If he knocked me unconscious then. Unohana interjected. He said that you have earned his respect and Yakiru-chan is now your responsibility, though she'll still most likely stay in the 11th Division. However, he said that you are never to transform into your demon form when she is near you and he doesn't want you touching her when you're transformed. Naruto nodded. I figured that. Then, it hit him. I finally have a relative. I have a little sister. Yahoo! He jumped out of bed and began jumping around. After a moment of this, he stopped and smiled a big, wide, foxy smile. I have a little sister. This is so cool. Unohana giggled, and led him to the entrance of the division. You're all set, Naruto-kun. Oh, and Kiraku told me that you can stay at the 8th Division from here on. Naruto nodded, thanked her for her hospitality and walked to said division. The end. Now we will see you in the next video.